Railroad paint schemes we need back. Along the railroad, paint schemes come and go. Sadly, this is a reality whether the scheme is awful or it's great. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like the good ones always get nerfed faster. In this video, I'll be talking about some of my favorite schemes from the railroads of yesterday and discussing which ones will be great to have back on the rails today. Like the video for a free heritage unit, subscribe or I'll derail NS outside your house, and thank you to my extremely dedicated fans. Be sure to comment below which railroad paint scheme from the past you would like to bring back. The CB&Q. The CB&Q, otherwise known as the Burlington Route, was a Midwestern railroad which operated until the late 1970s. It was eventually absorbed by the Burlington Northern. That must be where they got the Burlington part from. I know I'm not funny, but I try. Their final livery before forming the BN with other railroads was the sharp red, black, and gray scheme with stripes on the nose and rear of the long hood. Overall, I'd rate this scheme a solid 9 out of 10. Super based scheme. If BNSF was cool, we could probably have a heritage unit wearing this and it'd be amazing. But as we all know, they decided stickers on a few ES44ACs was enough. Oh well, we just can't have nice things. The Conrail blue scheme. It may surprise you to see that Conrail made it to this list of schemes I want to bring back, seeing as it's such an unpopular railroad that definitely isn't overglazed to the moon and back by 99% of rail fans. But, you know, here we are. For the record, since a lot of you out there can't understand sarcasm, that's sarcasm. Anyway, the Conrail blue scheme was another one of the many great liveries that existed before the turn of the century. Operating between 1973 and 1997, Conrail's story is a unique one. Failing railroads in the eastern US kept failing until bankruptcy, so the US government decided to take matters into their own hands. And wow, they ended up cooking with all three of the schemes. 8.5 out of 10 for the Blue Government Railroad. I'm probably going to offend a lot of people for this, but honestly, if you get super worked up over some foamer yapping about trains and not liking a popular paint scheme, there's a 100% chance you need to touch some grass. Hot take, this one is a little bit worse than the others. There exist two Conrail heritage units from the present-day joint owners. One from Norfolk Southern, who controls 58% of the company, and the other from CSX, who controls 42%. Now, CSX, owning slightly less rights to Conrail than NS, meant they were legally required to paint less of a heritage unit, leading them to just skip out on the nose altogether. For legal reasons, that's a joke. CSX was just doing CSX heritage unit practices. Oh, I just remembered there's also a Conrail heritage unit from NJ Transit. I know like nothing about this company, but they easily beat both CSX and NS's variations. It is so well proportioned and on a great locomotive. Props to NJ Transit. Shame we can't have heritage units this nice out on the main line. Canadian Pacific's Pac-Man scheme. Easily one of the most iconic and cherished schemes of many from the Canadian Pacific Railroad, the Pac-Man, officially known as the multi-mark, was a simple yet pleasing scheme that consisted of red and white stripes on the nose, the multi-mark logo on the rear of the long hood, and that wonderful CP red along with CP rail lettering on the side. Without question, this is a 10 out of 10 paint scheme. It's pretty unfortunate that the days of stripes on locomotives are behind us unless you're lucky enough to find a Cascade green locomotive or maybe a former City Rail. Of course, both will be gone in the foreseeable future, so unless a new cursed merger takes place in the scheme somehow against all odds isn't some 2 out of 10 joke, all we'll have is memories. Wow, look at how hard CP fell off. This was them before the 80s. This is them now. Things really do just get uglier as time goes on. Great Northern, simplified scheme. The old Great Northern, former operator of my local rail line, the Hinckley subdivision, and a pretty history-rich, unique railroad that had an impressive network operating from the years 1889 to 1970. Consisting of nice shades of orange and black, the Great Northern simplified scheme is a very clean and well-balanced livery, in my opinion at least. Early variants of the scheme, like what were found on the F units, had the iconic Great Northern goat logo positioned in the center of the nose, and later ones had the large black stripes from the sides joined together and curved downward neatly on the nose like this. Very solid paint scheme. The modern day BNSF H4 scheme, one of my favorites, does strike some resemblance. Much like the CB&Q mentioned earlier, this would make a great heritage unit if BNSF wasn't content with just stickers. I'd give an 8 out of 10 on this scheme. I feel like it would honestly slap on, say, an SD70 ACE. BCOL Hockey Stick scheme. BC Rail's Hockey Stick, otherwise known as just the red, white, and blue, although that sounds awful American for a Canadian company, maybe, at least in my opinion, one of Canada's nicest fallen flag schemes. I'll probably trigger some people who are thinking about others, but this one really stands out to me. It's got those great diagonal stripes on the nose that I've been glazing this whole video, a vibrant color palette, and I really have to appreciate the BC rail lettering on the side. Easily a 10 out of 10 livery. I might even have to go with an 11 out of 10 because, bro, CN really took this from us. Nearly everything that once wore this scheme was either repainted into CN colors, stored, sold, scrapped, or all of the above. It feels like a criminal offense to go from something this nice to this. I'll see you in court, CN. Burlington Northern Whiteface. Haha, I bet you didn't see this one coming. Burlington Northern, the beloved green transcontinental railroad from the 1970s. They had several schemes, all of which I think were pretty dang cool aside from tiger stripes, which I can't say is my favorite. Why are there boomers with guns outside? The BN Whiteface is a simple but pleasing to the eye scheme, primarily using a deep rich shade of forest green paired with black along the top and white towards the nose. The BN logo is well scaled on the center of the nose, which makes for a fairly unique look compared to that of many other schemes in the era, which mostly consisted of logos with lettering or those lovely diagonal stripes. The Cascade Green scheme is one of my favorites, if that was even necessary to say. A whiteface heritage unit is another one of the many great things we could have if BNSF settled for more than just stickers. I'm never gonna stop complaining about that.